Good morning. It being 10 o'clock, we'll call the Finance Committee to order. Our day's work today is to cover those bills that we put in interim study. There are four bills that we put into interim study. We'll take them up in order and as published, and we'll ask for comments. I know that Melissa Rollins and the LBA, and I see Kevin Ripple is here as well, that there's been some further analyses, and we'll ask them to give any analyses and history that they have come up with. All right, Senate Bill 453. Melissa Collins will ask for your comments.
Sure. So the language from SB 453 was amended by the Senate. That language was put into HB 463, and that ended up dying in committee of conference. We did speak to Deputy Secretary of State Hennessy concerning this bill and the funds that are needed for the election portal, and she stated that they have access to HAVA funds to build the election portal, so this bill probably is no longer needed.
Further discussions from the committee? Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Representative.
Chair. So I looked into this some more myself, and I did also talk to Ms. Hennessy about it. They did feel that there was access to HAVA funds, but she also said that there's going to be a big issue with accessible voting machines. She's not sure how that'll play out, whether they'll have to support the towns because it's going to be expensive. And on balance, my conversation with her was that she would be supportive, of course, the devil's in the details, but the Secretary of State would be supportive of reintroduction of a bill to establish the portal and to make sure that when it's reintroduced, it's combined with the appropriation amount that was $450,000 that was in SB 453. So because the House supported the passage of the electronic portal and basically supported SB 453, despite there was confusion about funding and amendments, I personally would like to recommend that we recommend this for further legislation when combined with the portal and the appropriation in the same bill.
Thank you. Further discussion from the committee? Representative McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm somewhat of the opposite opinion here, because the key thing from the Secretary of State's point of view is the permission to make these changes to the voter registration system. And this particular bill is just a straight up allocate $450,000 for the appropriation. It isn't the permission to do the job, because what the Secretary of State's office said to me was that they may have HAVA funds, right? And so the key thing to them is just the permission from the legislature to do the job, which was the other bill that didn't pass, right? So I would say this one, which is just straight up allocating of money, isn't needed at this time. And, money's going to be tight, we think, next year. And so this could easily, we really don't need this. Thank you.
Representative Eber.
Well, thank you. We don't have to go too far down the road on this, but I think in the process of interim study, when you're recommending further legislation, you don't have to be strictly limited to just what this particular bill did. It doesn't have to be the exact language. So the committee could recommend further legislation that included an electronic portal with the necessary appropriation. So that was my thought, and I would make a motion to that effect.
Okay, we have a motion for a further study. Is there a second? There's a second, and clerk will call the roll on the motion for recommended for further study.
for further legislation.
Recommend for further legislation, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Earth,
No.
Representative McGuire,
No.
Representative Pidgey votes no. Representative Emmerich,
No.
Representative Griffin,
No.
Representative Mooney,
No.
Representative Edwards is not here. Representative Bean is not here. Representative Hole,
No.
Representative Sweeney's not here. Campbell's not here. Representative Popovici Muller,
No.
Representative Wallner, Representative Leishman, is he here? No. Representative Bucco is not here. Representative Heath,
Yes.
Representative Murray,
Yes.
Representative Ebel,
Yes.
Representative Haken Phillips,
Yes.
Representative Stringham,
Yes.
Representative Grassi,
Yes.
Representative Priest,
Yes.
Representative Weiler.
No. Comes out tied.
No, it's 9-8.
It's what?
9-8 in favor of killing the motion.
Mr. Speaker, sorry, Mr. Chair.
I got 8-8.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
There's
8.
17 here.
17, 9, and 8 is, there he is right there.
So it was 8 to 9 and 98.
9 to 8.
Okay.
Which one was the positive?
So it
Mr.
fails.
Chair,
It
8
fails.
to 9.
I move not recommended for further legislation.
All right, recommended for, not recommended for further legislation. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Clerk will call a roll on that motion.
And that was Earth.
Yep.
Representative Earth,
Yes.
Representative McGuire,
Yes.
Representative Petrie votes yes. Representative Emmerich,
Yes.
Representative Griffin,
Yes.
Representative Mooney,
Yes.
Representative Bean, Hole,
Yes.
Representative Popovici Muller,
Yes.
Representative Wallner, Representative Heath,
Yes. No. No. Lost
I-
my
I know
strength.
what you
I
meant.
saw-
Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Ebel,
No.
Representative Haken Phillips,
No.
Representative Stringham,
No.
Representative Grassi,
No.
Representative Priest,
No.
Representative Weiler.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 9-8 in favor of the motion.
Okay, then that will be reported out as not recommended for further study. Moving on to Senate Bill 553. Anybody LBA? Melissa Rollins?
So for Senate Bill 553, the gist of the language was incorporated into HB 1241, which was signed into law on August 23rd, 2024. There was one minor
you never
change
speak up?
in the original language that
Bring it a little closer to the mic.
Sure. There was one minor change compared to what was signed into law, which was on the original bill. It said it shall maintain, the PDIP shall maintain no less than 30% of the funds held in essentially New Hampshire banks. In the language that was signed into law, it says it shall strive to place funds essentially into New Hampshire banks, and the rest of the language was the same.
So the issue has been put in another bill, is what we're hearing. Any further discussion? Representative Popovici Muller.
Since I was one of the people that didn't like the original bill to start with and voted accordingly, I'm happy to make a motion to not recommend for further study. Unfortunately, because it already passed and there is no more need for stuff.
Motion and a motion by Papavici Mueller, second by Representative Griffin, not recommended. Further discussion.
Mr.
Representative
Chair,
Eber.
not to be super precise, it's not recommended for further legislation, not recommended for further study.
Thank you for the
That's twice
correction.
you had to correct me. Sorry, not recommended for further legislation or recommended for further legislation. Okay, that is the motion before us, not recommended for further legislation.
Seconded that.
Griffin. All right, that is the motion before us from Finance Committee. Senate Bill 553 is not recommended for further legislation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll on that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Earth.
Yes.
Representative McGuire.
Yes.
Representative Petrie votes yes. Representative Emmerich.
Yes.
Representative Griffin.
Yes.
Representative Mooney.
Yes.
Representative Hole.
Yes.
Representative Popovici Mueller.
Yes.
Representative Wallner. Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Murray.
Yes.
Representative Ebel.
Yes.
Representative Haken Phillips.
Yes.
Representative Stringham.
Yes.
Representative Grassi.
Yes.
Representative Priest.
Yes.
Representative Weiler.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 17-0 in favor of the motion.
That will be the report not recommended for further legislation on Senate Bill 553. Moving on to House Bill 1595. I guess Mr. Ripple will give us some discussion on that.
Sure, yes. House Bill 1595 was one of two bills considered this past session relative to adjustments to the child support guidelines. The other bill was House Bill 1564. That bill was passed and signed into law. House Bill 1595, on the other hand, had an amendment in Division 3 that was adopted to essentially align the two bills and combine them into one. The Finance Committee recommended ought to pass with amendment, but on the House floor, it was referred for interim study. So that's why the bill's before you now.
So that's the way it came to us from the House. Okay? Further discussion from the committee.
I could make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Representative Mooney.
I would move on House Bill 1595 that it not be recommended for future legislation.
Second.
Motion by Mooney, second by Petrie, that House Bill 1595 be not recommended for further legislation. Is there any further discussion? Representative Hull.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I can't support that motion. We had and paid for a report relative to child support guidelines at the New Hampshire level. The report was issued in December of 2022. We spent over $100,000 on that report. I have a copy in front of me. Part of this stems from what 1595 attempted to do that the bill that ultimately passed did not, which is to set appropriate guidelines in statute relative to parental guidelines over number of hours with the kids and a bunch of other things in statute. We need to do that. We have allowed the judges a greater degree of discretion, and that has created a bunch of turmoil with families. I think we need to take a look at these guidelines and follow that. So I would recommend that we recommend this bill for further legislation.
Okay, but the motion before us is to not recommend. Is there further discussion on the two sides? Seeing none, the clerk will call a roll on the motion of not recommended for further legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Earth.
No.
Representative McGuire.
No.
Representative Petrie votes no. Representative Emmerich.
No.
Representative Griffin,
No.
Representative Mooney,
Yes.
Representative Hall,
No.
Representative Popovici Muller,
No.
Representative Wallner, Representative Heath,
Yes.
Representative Murray,
Yes.
Representative Ebel,
Yes.
Representative Hicken Phillips,
Yes.
Representative Stringham,
Yes.
Representative Grassi,
Yes.
Representative Priest,
Yes.
Representative Weiler.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9-8 in favor of the motion.
Okay, then it will be reported out as recommended for further legislation. Further,
No.
oh, not recommended. Counting the thing, yes. Not recommended, thank you. I got my notes wrong here. The motion will be from the Committee on House Bill 1595, not recommended for further legislation.
Who seconded it? Who seconded it? No, I did the original motion. Who did the not recommend?
On
she did the original.
1595,
She did the original.
I did the original motion.
Who seconded?
I believe it was yourself.
You did. You
Seriously.
you were the second.
Yeah, for the original not recommended, but,
That's the one that prevailed.
okay, I'll be there.
It's the one
I
that
have to be,
prevailed.
I have to be retrained, not a problem. The pot's right.
Okay, moving on
Okay.
to Senate Bill 230, and the people that made the motion will write the report, which is pretty easy. Not recommended for further legislation. That's all you need to say. And Senate Bill 239 is the last one. We have use of harm reduction services. It came out, Mr. Ripple will give us the explanations.
Yes, Senate Bill 239, relative to the use of harm reduction services, came to finance after passing the House with a floor amendment specifically relative to the definition of harm reduction. And after Division 3 held several work sessions on that definition as well as the scope of the bill, the Finance Committee ultimately recommended refer for interim study, and that's how it came out of the House.
Okay. Anybody in Division 3 want to make any further comment? Representative Hall is is that Representative Stringham? I'm not recognizing whose light is on there.
Yeah, if you remember, this bill was, advanced from the Senate, did pass with a strong majority before it came to finance. I think the issues that led to one vote interim study are issues that should continue to be studied and addressed in future legislation. It was clearly an important issue to be addressed by this legislative body, and one that we should enthusiastically encourage the next legislature to address. And therefore, I put forward a motion to recommend legislation be advanced with the next biennium.
Recommended for further legislation by Representative Stringham. Is there a second? Second, Representative Priest. My recollection is that it needed a lot of work on what the reduction of harm means. And it wasn't clearly defined. And I think there are several other states, each one had a different definition that used that term. So it really needs to be more clearly defined. So the motion before us is recommended for further study. Clerk will call Representative McGuire.
Thank you. Can anybody tell me, is there much of a fiscal note on this bill?
Mr. Ripple?
There should be no general fund impact because the bill requires the department to establish and administer statewide access points for substance use services, quote, with the availability of sufficient federal funding. So it's contingent upon federal funding rather than state funding.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Representative Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just add that Senate Bill 239, an incredible amount of work was put into this bill. Its background, the research, the people that came to testify in our study sessions. It's inevitable that this subject will come up again, depending on how things are filed for next year. So whether or not our vote is one way or another, I do believe this subject will be seen again. Thank you.
Further from the committee members? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll on recommended for further legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Earth.
No.
Representative McGuire.
No.
Representative Petrie votes no. Representative Emmerich.
No.
Representative Griffin.
No.
Representative Mooney.
No.
Representative Hole.
No.
Representative Popovici Muller.
No.
Representative Wallner.
Yes.
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Murray.
Yes.
Representative Ebel.
Yes.
Representative Haken Phillips.
Yes.
Representative Stringham.
Yes.
Representative Grassi.
Yes.
Representative Priest.
Yes.
Representative Weiler.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the motion fails 8 to 0, 8 to 9.
8 to 9. Is there any further, is there a further motion on not recommended? Representative
Sure.
Hall.
I move that we not recommend this for future legislation.
Second.
Representative Hall moves not recommended. Representative Murray seconds.
That was Murray? I'm sorry.
Representative Murray
Oh,
seconds.
I'm sorry.
Thought it was Mooney.
Pretty sure it was Mooney. It was Mooney.
What did I say? Murray, no, Mooney.
Oh, okay.
Just to be clear, I seconded the motion of not recommending for future legislation on Senate Bill 239.
Excuse me. All right, further discussion. Seeing none, the clerk will call a roll on the vote on the motion of not recommended for further study on Senate Bill 239.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Earth.
Yes.
Representative McGuire.
Yes.
Representative Petrie votes yes. Representative Emmerich.
Yes.
Representative Griffin.
Yes.
Representative Mooney.
Yes.
Representative Hole.
Yes.
Representative Popovici Muller.
Yes.
Representative Wallner. Representative Heath.
No.
Representative Murray.
No.
Representative Ebel.
No.
Representative, whoops. Where we at here? Representative Haken Phillips.
No.
Representative Stringham.
No.
Representative Grassi.
No.
Representative Priest.
No.
Representative Weiler.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 9 to 8 in favor of the motion.
Okay, jot down your the winning motion maker will jot down the, your name and the, obviously the vote, whether it was recommended or not recommended. Looks like every one of them was not recommended. Is that correct?
No, I think so.
Wait a minute, one. The first one. No, that was not recommended.
You're right. They're all not.
Oh, all that, that's what I thought.
You're always right, sir.
At least on the second or third attempt. Thank you all for keeping me straight. But, all right, so just those people that made the winning motion, just write down the title of the House or Senate bill and the fact that it was not recommended for further legislation, and give that to Janet on your way out. Is there any further to come before us? Motion to adjourn. Wait. Representative Popovich.
Since this is probably the last time when we are meeting, I did want to thank everybody for helping me learn so much about the process in these 2 years. It's my first term, and I want to acknowledge that some of us are not planning to return, and thank everybody for their huge contributions, whether we agreed or not most of the time. I know that everybody worked hard and did their best to make this a better state, and I really appreciate everybody's efforts. Thank you.
We have kept the discussion civil. And we sometimes agree and sometimes disagree, but we don't hold it against anybody, because sometimes they'll be with you, sometimes they'll be against you, and that's just a matter of opinion. So I appreciate working with all of you, and we may have some changes in the next session, but we will persevere, and we will keep trying to do our best job to produce a workable budget for the House, and to convince everybody that didn't sit in with us that that was the best way to do it. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Okay.